these organizations are led by great leaders. El futuro de Texas. They're led by Michelle Trujillo and Dinah Limón Mercado. Let's hear it. They have been on the front lines every day fighting for women's rights, workers' rights, civil rights, my rights, your rights, el derecho de cada uno de nosotros. Por ende hay que reconocerlas. Let's have them come up here on stage because they are the Latinas that are going to make Texas blue. Este año, they are the Latinas that are getting the vote out. They are the Latinas that will elect Beto O'Rourke governor of Texas.
Woo! Hi, everybody. I'm Diana Limon Mercado, the Executive Director of Planned Parenthood Texas Votes. Woo! Thank you. Here in San Antonio, Planned Parenthood South Texas has been providing care for over 80 years and has welcomed our new leader and CEO, Laura Terrell, to continue to provide care no matter what. Thank you, Laura. Y'all know we are facing a health care crisis manufactured by Greg Abbott. Boo! We know Latinas, our communities, black families, working class people, rural Texans are going to suffer the most while we continue to wait for Medicaid to be expanded and for our families and schools to be supported. Greg Abbott has done nothing for us and will continue to do nothing for us, and that's why we're here today to support Beto O'Rourke for governor. Workers' rights, our women's rights, our health care is linked. The future of our bodies and our families and our communities are linked, and that's why we're proud to be in partnership with great organizations like Texas Organizing Project.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Tremillo, and I'm the proud co-executive director of the Texas Organizing Project. You see the teal shirts around here. At TOP, we organize in Black and Latino communities every day of the year. And at election time, we run large-scale voter mobilization programs. And I'm proud to tell you that in our 12-year history, we have mobilized over 3.2 million voters of color to the polls.
Woo!
Being here today is also very personal for me. I grew up on the west side of San Antonio. That's right. Better than the south side. No offense, Frank. And I have spent my entire organizing career here in this city that raised me, in this state that I love. And I have been doing this work for 20 years, y'all. And I have to say, this is the first time I think we can win. Woo! But it's going to take every single one of us here in this room to pitch in to make that happen. Okay. Let me lay it out for you. We have what we call a voter gap. Their side votes, our side doesn't, right? Okay. We got a voter gap. So it's our job here in this room to close that gap. Okay. Everybody understands? In Bexar County alone, there are about 640,000 people who are registered and don't vote regularly. 360,000 of them are Latino. We're all related to them. We can do this, y'all. All right. Now, let me tell you what we're doing, okay? We are proud to have endorsed Beto O'Rourke for governor. We're working closely with his team. His team is out there knocking on doors, phone banking, texting, doing the social media thing, events, every day, okay? Planned Parenthood Texas Votes out there on the doors. labor out there on the doors, okay? Our friends at Move and Jolt and Texas Rising are registering new young voters of color every single day. Woo! All right. At top, we have over 100 canvassers out on the doors every day. In fact, hold up, y'all. Help me out here because our canvas team just ended their shift and they came straight over here to celebrate with all of us. So can we give some love to the top canvassers? Stand up, y'all. It's hot out there. Every day, knocking on doors, okay? Now that's a lot of amazing work that's happening. But it's not enough. It's going to take every single one of us here to turn out the number of voters that we need to win. So, we care about living wage jobs with benefits like paid sick leave. If we care about shrinking our prisons and expanding access to education, health care, immigration reform, if we care about those things, we have one job to do between now and November 8th. And that's get everybody that we know to vote. We got to close that voter gap. All right? Okay, so we got 50 days. So I'm going to ask everybody here to join me in a chant that we do at top. It's a chant that we do to remind ourselves that every conversation is precious, every day is critical. I'm going to ask you, what day is it? And you're going to say, Election Day. Got it? All right, let's try it. What day is it? Election Day. What day is it? Election Day. What day is it? Election Day. All right, that's right. So if we want to elect Beto O'Rourke, we want to elect the first Latina Attorney General in this state, Rochelle Garza. Then we all got to pitch in. Does everybody understand the assignment? Okay, just one more time. What day is it? Election Day. Thank you. Woo!
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Diana. Mil gracias por todo lo que hacen, porque yo sé que las latinas nos van a llevar a la victoria en noviembre. You know, as I look out there, lo que veo, what I see, es la esperanza de nuestra gente, the hope of our people. What I see es la fe en la democracia, the faith in our democracy. But most of all, what I see out there es que vamos a ganar, we're going to win on November 8th. You know, when Beto gets elected governor, we've got a lot to do. He needs someone in the Texas legislature that's going to help him get the job done. Whether it's invest in our public schools, whether it's to make affordable health care and expand Medicaid, whether it's to make sure que todos podemos y tenemos el derecho para votar. That gentleman who I see in front of me is Mike Collier, the next lieutenant governor of the state of Texas.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now let me start with a question. Does anybody in this room cherish democracy? Let me hear you. And do you love civility? And will you fight for justice? Well, then I am surrounded by Democrats. Hello, Texas Democrats. My name is Mike Collier, and my job is to kick Dan Patrick's ass. Are you going to help me? Are you going to help me? He's got to go. Right. And I'll tell you what. I've been working on this for many, many years. 9 years to be exact. And you'd do the same thing too, if along the way you had the honor to meet Beto O'Rourke, my friend, your next governor. And today I meet for the first time iconic Dolores Huerta. So nice to meet you. An honor to meet you. We're building a coalition, not just across the state, but across the aisle to get things done for Texas, right? For the good folks in San Antonio and Bexar County and the whole state. Now just imagine what we'll do when we win. Are you ready? We'll have great public education. Teachers, put your hand up. And we believe health care is a fundamental human right, and we will expand Medicaid, right? And we'll have criminal justice reform. And we'll fix the damn grid. Do you agree with that? Oh, we're going to have so much fun together, aren't we? This is such an important election. You know how important this is. Our country's in trouble. Our democracy's in trouble. But Democrats always answer the call. And we will answer the call. And we will fight for our Constitution and our freedom. Do you agree? The right to vote. The right to have your vote matter. And for the LGBT community, the right to live and love as you wish in freedom. And when we're elected, it'll be my job to get the legislature to approve all of the protections afforded on Roe v. Wade. And I'll walk that bill. I'll walk that bill with pride to the governor's mansion, and Beto O'Rourke will sign it into law. And Rochelle Garza will make that law work for you. So let's go out there and win it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Let's hear it for Mike Collier, Lieutenant Governor of Texas. I'd like to introduce next a young lady from far San Juan Alamo area in the valley. You could see her on ABC. She's the only Latina ever to produce her own sitcom. You could see her streaming on Netflix. And you can see her today here in San Antonio, Texas, ready to elect Beto O'Rourke governor of Texas. You know, Cristela Alonso. If you see her videos, if you see her streaming on Netflix, I love lower classy, middle classy. We love you. Come on up here.
Hello. Hi, thank you. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? San Antonio, ¿cómo están? I know. Look, I am very excited to be here tonight because it is my choice to be here. And as a woman, my choices are getting limited. Right now, I get to celebrate. I throw a party anytime I can make a choice about my body. I went through a drive-through window. I asked for a number 1. I said, Sprite, my body, my choice. That's where we are right now. Now, let me tell you a story. My mom, I'm a first-generation Mexican-American. Mis padres eran de México, eran de San Luis Potosí, Zacatecas. And let me tell you, they came here so that I would have a choice. They came here so that I would have chances they couldn't have. My mom grew up in a village in the middle of nowhere with no running water, no electricity. My parents met the old-fashioned way. My dad kidnapped my mom. She found out the United States let people date, and she's like, what? Mija, we gotta go there. But now we're going back, not forward. And I wanted to come here. I don't want to come and tell you to vote for Beto. You should know that by now. What I'm here to do is remind you that we exist and we need to be heard. Now, see, the problem is is that I represent what people think are the problem. See, I am a Latina woman who speaks Spanish. And guess what? I know my rights. And boy, they hate when you know your rights. The thing is that there are people in power in this state, my home state, that have made it difficult for us to even exist. COVID happened. I come from a family of teachers. The governor demanded that my brothers go back to work and risk their lives because of his opinion. Forget science, forget medicine, and guess what? They had to pay for their own masks. They had to pay for their own tests. They didn't want to go back. My brother was scared to death to go back. But he had to. Why? Because we need money to live. And that's the problem. That we only get enough money to exist, to get by, not to thrive. We get to survive. When do we thrive? Now let me tell you, what the Democrats are offering during midterms is very simple. It's opportunity. Now when we talk about people's ancestors coming to Ellis Island, oh, they came here for a better life. Well, so did ours. You do not get to tell me, you do not get to tell us when we can live or die. We will not be silenced. We will be heard. Hey, I want everybody to have a chance at a solid education. In order to do that, teachers must be paid. Teachers and children should be seen as people. I am so sorry that teachers and students are not as important as profits by gun companies. My mother passed away at the age of 57. She died in Dallas, Texas, after finding out in McAllen, Texas, that she had had several strokes throughout her entire life. Every time the stroke happened, her heart got weaker and weaker. But you know what? She never knew about those strokes. Why? Because she had to go to work and work her minimum wage job just to get by. She'd make $6,000 a year. You know why? Because when you're undocumented, oh man, they love to exploit you. But here's the thing though, right? They love to exploit that job. They love to exploit your work. But man, when they mess up and they make abortion illegal, now we're the problem. Because they want everyone to forget that this, in the state of Texas, the Latino community is a very important part of this economy. But they don't want people to know that. Why? Because that's positive. So what are we going to do? We're going to say that thousands of people come into the border every day. Do they? Guess what? If they do, being from a border town, I can tell you this. This is one thing people don't talk about. People come from Mexico. They come here. They buy products because they like the quality of the products. They come here, they fill up the stores across the border. They buy shampoo, they buy detergent, they buy soap. They like the quality better. And guess what? At the end of the day, they go back home. But we don't talk about that. Why? Because that's money that goes into our economy that is uncounted, undisputed. We do that. But see, we don't talk about that. Why? Because it makes us sound like we're good people. What? Yes. 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 Eso es lo que yo estaba pensando. Now, I don't want to take too much time. All I wanted to do was come here and remind you that people see me. People see people like me. Like we're the problem in this country. But the thing is, the problem is that people have failed to see us as people for a long time. That's the problem. You might not know, some of you might not know who I am, and it doesn't matter. But I'll tell you what, I was raised in poverty. First 7 years of my life, my family were squatters in an abandoned diner. No running water, no electricity. We wanted a shower. We'd warm up water in a bucket from pickles, warm it up, stand in the middle of a bathtub, get a cup, and pour it over. My mom raised us on food stamps. $120 for 4 people every month. Now, we made it. We made it. I had the luxury of winning the lottery. I was the first Latina to write, star, and produce a sitcom for national TV in the history of television. I was the first Latina to star in a Pixar movie. And you know what? I had to do that to afford health care. And that shouldn't happen. I shouldn't have to win the lottery to be able to live. And this is what I'm talking about. Now, having had those opportunities, having had that privilege, coming from barely humble beginnings and getting to that level, I am now one of these country's greatest threats. An educated Latina that knows her rights and will take the chance to speak on behalf of the community when they let me. And I'm here to say, we will not be silenced. We will be heard. Thank you, everybody. You have been great. Absolutely everything. We can do it. Beto O'Rourke for governor. And now, I want to continue this by bringing up a dear friend of mine. He is a U.S. congressman, and more importantly, he's a hometown kid. He's from San Antonio. Please welcome to the stage, Joaquin Castro!
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. You see why I keep trying to talk Cristela into moving back from California to Texas and run for office here in Texas. Welcome, Bethel, to the greatest city in the state of Texas, San Antonio, Texas. Although I know my old friend, we started in Congress together in the same year in January of 2013. I know that he's partial to the beautiful city of El Paso. Y'all know, everybody knows that we have a huge election in front of us. And I would put it this way. Re-electing Greg Abbott is dangerous to the people of Texas. When a governor can't keep the lights on or the heat on in a snowstorm, he is hazardous to your health. He's dangerous. When a governor can watch people die in Sutherland Springs and 23 people who'd gone shopping at a Walmart in El Paso and make it easier, not harder, for dangerous people to get dangerous weapons in their hands, he is hazardous to your health, and re-electing him is dangerous to the people of Texas. When Greg Abbott can watch the video and know that there were screams of children inside that classroom in Uvalde, to watch the video and know that no law enforcement officer went in, including 91 DPS agents, and give a press conference in front of the world and say that law enforcement did their job and that it could have been worse. When a governor fails that badly, when Greg Abbott is that incompetent, it's not just inconvenient to reelect him, it is hazardous to your health. Reelecting Greg Abbott is dangerous to the people of Texas. When he hears about stories in Texas and around the country of women who only seek the freedom of making their own choices about their own bodies and their own health care, and yet allows for no exception, even for rape or incest, for an abortion, including for young girls. That man is dangerous to you and to your family, and re-electing him is dangerous for the people of Texas. And y'all know it's going to take every text you can send, every phone call you can make, every dollar you can lend, every block you can walk, every single thing that you can do to make sure that Beto O'Rourke becomes the next governor of the state of Texas this November. There are times in American history where there are things that are larger than partisan politics. You know that partisan politics is well bred into our DNA in this country, that each side is on their team and we're proud Democrats and they're proud Republicans. But our country is a point where we have to rise above partisan politics. This is a call to conscience. This is a call to conscience. And the woman that I want to bring up next is somebody who has been calling to our conscience for decades. In fact, she is 92 this year and has been fighting her whole life. She fought alongside Cesar Chavez for farm workers in California, in Texas, in Michigan, throughout the country. She is a powerful, iconic trailblazer, a woman who's been at the forefront of civil and political and human rights, and she knows a great candidate when she sees one, and she's here to introduce Beto O'Rourke tonight. Dolores Huerta.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede. Thank you. Thank you very much, Joaquin. I want to thank everybody that's here tonight for coming out, okay? This is so important. I want to thank Joaquin. Thank you, Joaquin. I also want to thank Julian, who's here with us today. Thank Julian for a minute, okay? For the Castro brothers and their mother, Rosie, okay, who did so much to create the Democratic Party here. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you. I also want to thank all of you for supporting the farm workers, not only the farm workers in Texas, who did so much to go to California to make California rich, but for supporting the farm workers, United Farm Workers from California, okay? Without your help, we never would have won. And thank you, Cristela, for joining us, okay? Wasn't she great? Okay. And how did you like the cafeteras, okay? Do you like that? Yeah, so all of us are coming from California because we want to pay back, okay? Pay you back for all of the great things that you have done for California, to make California rich with your work and your labor. Con su labor. Gracias, muchas gracias para eso. And like the rest of you here, I am here to really say we have to get Beto O'Rourke elected for governor of Texas! You know, sometimes people say, why do we have many Latinos that are Republicans? I think I know the answer, okay? I'm going to share it with you. Not los vendidos, but the ones that, you know. Anyway. I was born in the state of New Mexico. And my grandfather, Herculano Chavez, my mother, Alicia St. John Chavez, they were Republicans. You know why? Because Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. A lot of the OGs, older folk, remember that. Well, we know that the Republican Party, Lincoln's Republican Party, is not what Abraham Lincoln was. Abraham Lincoln was against discrimination, and he was for progress, and he was for democracy, and he was for liberty. Unfortunately, that is not today's Republican Party, okay? So we have to remind our gente that is still there. They don't know it changed, I think, you know? We have to remind them and tell them, okay, we know why you were a Republican. But now we have to remember Abraham Lincoln. If Abraham Lincoln was alive today, he would be a Democrat, okay? And we know that Governor Greg Abbott, he doesn't like Mexicans, okay? No. So we have to tell the governor, you can learn a lot from Mexicans because we have a lot to teach you. And one of the things that I would like Governor Greg Abbott to learn is this. El dicho de nuestro gran presidente, Benito Juárez, okay? Benito Juárez. What did Benito Juárez say? El respeto al derecho ajeno es la paz. Let's all say it together. El respeto al derecho ajeno es la paz. And this is so important for women. I am the mother of 11 children. My daughter, Juanita, who's a teacher, she likes dogs and cats instead, okay? So I respect my daughter's choice, and she respects mine. And so this is what we have to say to the governor. Women, we have the human right to decide how many children we're going to have or not have. This is our human right. And also, who you love, who you live with, who you marry. If that happens to be somebody of your same sex, that is their human right also, okay? That is their human right. And so we have to say to our people out there, que pongan atención. You know, we understand. Do not vote for your religion, okay? Do not vote against your own self-interest, all right? So no political leader, no religious leader should have the right to tell us how to vote, okay? No religious leader, no political leader should have the right to vote. So I want you to be the messengers. Take that to the dinner table, okay? I mean, don't wait to bring it. You bring it up. Porque tenemos gente que todavía está un poquito tapados. Okay? Les tenemos que prender el foco. So we have to enlighten them. Enlighten them. We have to be the messengers. We have to be the messengers of social justice and human rights. This is our job that we have to do. There's something else I want to share with you. They have made it really hard in Texas to register to vote and for people to vote. I want to tell you that in California, I had the good fortune to lobby through the state legislature in 1963. that anybody who was a citizen could register somebody else to vote. In California, when you get your driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote. And as you know, we all have mail-in ballots. You vote by mail in California. Every single person. So, and those laws were passed to keep us from voting. And so now, but we know that we can overcome that, right? We can overcome it. And we have to overcome it. We have to overcome it because we are at this point that Texas has been hurting. We heard the band play the Selena song, Como nos duele, como nos duele, como nos duele. The pain that Texas has been under needs to end, okay? Needs to end. I'm going to use the F word. Okay, not what you think. It's fascismo, fascism. We've been hearing that word lately, but a lot of people don't know what it means. It comes from a German word that means to punish. It comes from a German word that means to hurt people. And this is what we have seen in Texas. People have been hurt in so many ways. There was a young girl that came up to us in a rally earlier, and she was crying. She couldn't even talk. She was crying. And she was crying because what happened here in Uvalde and what happened in El Paso and all of the pain that people here have been having with not the kind of health care that you should have. You're a big state. You're a rich state. There is no reason why anybody should not have any kind of medical or health care in the state of Texas, okay? They do not have any reason. But all of us here today, we know that that is going to change, right? That's going to change. And so, you know, we've been talking about Beto O'Rourke, okay? And we were thinking how, you know, Beto has been working for 2 decades for the people of Texas when he was in the Congress. He started when he was 10 years old. And we added up all of the hours that Beto has spent in public service. Over 170,000 hours. So I'm going to ask all of you, how many hours can you give to go out there and walk the block, talk the talk, do the phoning, so that we can get Beto O'Rourke elected? Think about it for a minute, okay? Think about it right now, okay? Think about it. How many hours are you going to give? Somebody said 24/7. Okay, raise your hands if you're going to go out there and walk the block. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Because that's the only way that we're going to win. One more thing. We have a lot of people here today. If all of us go out there and walk, we can make it maybe. But one more thing. Let's think of recruiting other people to help us, okay? So, yeah, organize. Call your vecinos, your primos, your compadres, your exes. Yeah. Yeah, I called my ex, okay? He lives in McAllen, Texas. Some of you might know him. And so I called him and I asked him, are you going to vote for Beto O'Rourke? Of course, he said, yes. He's going to vote for Beto. So we know what we have to do. We know what we have to do. And if we don't do it, Beto's not going to win. It's not up to him. It's up to who? It's up to who? It's up to who? All right. I wanna ask you a couple of questions. I know you know the answers. All right. And the questions I'm gonna ask you, two of them. Wait till I ask the question. Okay. I'm gonna ask you who's got the power. I want you to say we've got the power. What kind of power? You're gonna say people power. Are you ready? Okay. Who's got the power? What kind of power? Okay, are we going to use that Tejano power to get Beto O'Rourke elected? ¡Se puede! ¡Se puede! ¡Se puede! Muchas gracias, thank you. And now, let's welcome Beto O'Rourke!
All right, San Antonio. Bexar County. How about Dolores Huerta? A champion for civil rights. A champion for voting rights. A champion for workers' rights. A champion for the people of this country, including each and every single one of us who lives in the greatest state in the union right here in Texas. Dolores Huerta, thank you for being here. You honor us with your work, with your presence, with your enthusiasm. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people will talk a big game. And I was with some of them yesterday. We were doing town hall meetings in Brownsville, in McAllen, Texas. Then we were driving to Corpus Christi, and I said, hey, what if we do a run bright and early Sunday morning? Everyone says yes. Not everyone shows up the next morning. Bright and early, under a beautiful Corpus Christi sky, these huge cloud bursts, the sun is just rising. Who is there with her running shoes on but Dolores Huerta, leading the rest of us in a 2-mile run. This woman is unstoppable, and you think about everything that she's done just over these last 4 days across the state of Texas, much less the last 92 years of her life. Her assistant was just telling me that her son calls her the gangsta because she has been incarcerated 26 different times, willing to risk her freedom for all of ours. This is our hero. This is our inspiration. This is our lead, Dolores Huerta. And I want you to think about her example when you think about the challenge that we face right now in this state. These are literally some dark days. For those of you in San Antonio, last February, in the energy capital of the world, the lights stopped working, the heat wouldn't run, the water stopped flowing because it was frozen in the pipes in your house, which soon burst and flooded your home and ruined your floorboards, and mold was racing up your walls onto the ceiling. More than $10 billion of damage done to the people of this Texas through no fault of their own. And it wasn't God or Mother Nature either. The man in the highest position of power literally could not keep the power flowing to those that he was supposed to serve. To add to that, every woman in this state now under attack, a total ban on abortion without exception for rape or incest. On top of that, the leading cause of death for children and teenagers in the state of Texas today is gun violence. It is mass shootings, and it is those shootings that take place each and every single day in our communities, so often in those neighborhoods that are already underserved among black and brown children, so common that their names never make the newspaper. We never see their faces on television, and it happens day in and day out without change under this governor. And then that thing that makes all of us possible in what sets America apart from the rest of the world, this right to vote, is under attack in Texas unlike any other place in America today. Harder to cast your ballot or to register to vote and get on the rolls in the first place right here in this great state with so many who have served us with distinction, who swore an oath when they put on that uniform, not to a president or to a political party, but to this Constitution and everyone's ability to freely and fairly choose those who will represent them in positions of public trust. It's enough to tempt you to despair or to submit or to succumb. But none of us are doing that right now. We are choosing to meet this moment with our faith in one another, in the people of Texas, in the great United States experiment, this democracy, which calls upon us to reach out to those who can decide the outcome of this election and invite them in, and to make sure that we are more than a match for this moment. And it's a reminder that as tough as it might be for our fellow Texans today, we can overcome this because we have done it before against much greater odds. Let me explain. 50 years ago, abortion was just as illegal in Texas as it is today. But no one rode to the rescue of the women of this state. It was in fact Jane Roe, our fellow Texan, her two attorneys, Sarah Weddington from that liberal hotspot of Abilene, Texas, and Linda Coffey, who still lives in Dallas. Those three Texas women prevailed upon an all-male United States Supreme Court to win protection for the right to privacy, to make very personal and very often painful decisions without interference from our government. For nearly half a century, their victory, the victory of Texas women, stood the test of time and every attack that was thrown at it. Here's my theory. It was Texas women who won that right in 1973. It will be Texas women who win it back in 2022. We are going to win this election. We're going to win this election because unlike the current governor, who tries to define himself and the rest of this state by who we're supposed to hate or be afraid of, the division based on our differences, we're going to bring the people of Texas together. And instead of saying who we're against, we're going to say who we're for. People like Stephen right here and other men and women who've worn the uniform of this country have gone off to fight every single war that we've asked them to fight. Those who've enlisted since 9/11 comprise fewer than 1% of the population of this country. And as they return to San Antonio, Military City, USA, they're telling us, hey, Beto, when I was out there serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, I was breathing in God only knows what. They were burning this shit in these burn pits. It was medical waste. It was body parts. It was chemicals. It was toxins. I'm not exactly sure, but now that I'm back here, I'm having a hard time breathing in my house or on the job or in life, and I'm afraid it is going to kill me. I think about those Vietnam-era veterans that Joaquin and I had the chance to serve on the House Veterans Affairs Committee, men and women who served this country in a war that we never understood, came back to San Antonio not to ticker tape parades or thank you very much for your service. At best, the indifference of a confused country. At worst, the outright hatred of their fellow Americans. Nonetheless, they put their heads down, raised their families, tried to make this a better place by continuing to serve as civilians, despite the fact that it took the United States of America 40 years to treat their exposure to Agent Orange as the presumptive conditions that caused the cancers that consumed them and killed far too many of them. Those Vietnam-era veterans are first in line right now, standing up for those who've served in Iraq and Afghanistan and saying, we will not wait 40 years to treat you with the care that you deserved, that you earned, that you're owed. Thanks to those veterans, those advocates, and to Congressman Castro, we were able to pass the PACT Act, get it signed into law by Joe Biden, to extend the care to those who need it right now. But let's not stop there. Let's make sure that in this great state, the 9th largest economy on the planet, one that does not lack for resources, that we never again allow a veteran to be sleeping on the side of the road or under a bridge or on a park bench tonight. Let's spare no expense, bear any burden to make sure every veteran has that roof over their head, is connected to that care that will save their lives. And when they come back and tell us, when I go to the VA, when I'm lucky enough to get into Audie Murphy, far too often, they're only willing to prescribe me an opioid, to which I may become addicted and from which I may die, as tens of thousands of our fellow Americans have. There's something, they tell me, that relieves their symptoms, their post-traumatic stress disorder, their traumatic brain injury, that increases their appetite, that allows them to sleep at night. But in Texas, they become a criminal in the eyes of the law for just trying to save their lives. That's why when we win, we're legalizing marijuana in the state of Texas. And given the fact that so many Black and brown Texans have served time for possession of a substance that is legal everywhere else in America, we are going to expunge the arrest records for anyone who has served time in the state of Texas. We're going to do right by each other. Let me tell you who we're for. We're for the school teacher, the school counselor, the school librarian, the support staff, the cafeteria worker, the school bus driver, the janitor who is there to make sure those kids are okay on average in this state because we so underpay them. They're working a second or a third job in order to make ends meet. Right now, their governor's attacking them, telling them that they cannot tell the true story and history of the state of Texas, asking them to turn in the parents of transgender kids under the accusation of child abuse, to turn them over to CPS custody and care, the worst run foster care program in the United States of America, bar none. We make them jump through these hoops, take not hours, but weeks and months to prepare children for a high-stakes, standardized test that does nothing to measure the potential in that kid's brain or the effort expended on his behalf by that teacher in front of them. That's why when we win, we're canceling the STAR test in the state of Texas. That's why we're going to pay every teacher enough to just work one job, focusing on those kids in front of them. And we're going to make sure that those retired teachers among us who have not had a cost of living adjustment in 18 years get a cost of living adjustment every year going forward. Treat them with respect. We are for that person who is among us right now, who though they work hard, live by the rules, pay their taxes, in the least insured state in America, cannot afford to go to a doctor, to get a cancer screening, to be able to take their child to a therapist. Do you know that today, in the year of our Lord 2022, more kids die of diabetes in the state of Texas than anywhere else in America today? That the number one provider of mental health care services in this great state is the county jail system. That those with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and clinical depression who are uninsured all too often get asked to be arrested, to be taken to the one place that they're afforded any care at all, no matter how insufficient or immoral that might be. That is us today. So to those of you out there who just want to be healthy enough and well enough to finish your education, to go to work, to raise your kids, to start a business, to launch your own television special on Netflix going forward, I want you to know that after we win, we are bringing back $10 billion of your federal income taxes to Texas. Medicaid expansion will allow us to hire the providers, connect our fellow Texans with the care, reopen these closed rural hospitals. 16 of them shut down on Greg Abbott's watch. And how about this? What if through that expansion and our investment in healthcare, we paid to ensure that the future generation of nurses and psychiatrists, social workers, therapists, and doctors look like the communities that they want to serve, paying for their medical school education on the condition that they come back and serve the communities that raised them. How about that? We are for the person who creates the value, the success, and the wealth in this economy. Those who are working day in and day out, and with a minimum wage of $7.25, who are working not one job, but two jobs, but three jobs, who, because we have not followed the former mayor's lead in extending all-day universal pre-K throughout the state of Texas, are unable to leave their homes to get child care, to be able to work jobs or improve themselves and their prospects to get a higher paying one. I just want you to know that I hear you and that we have your back. We're going to raise that minimum wage from $7.25 to at least $15 an hour in the state of Texas. That is for starters. We're going to make sure that you can afford child care, invest in universal all-day pre-K in every county in the state of Texas. Thank you, Julian Castro. And in a state whose governor likes to pride himself on the fact that we are, quote unquote, right to work, I'm going to make sure that we are right to organize in this state, supporting unions and labor and the people who make our success possible. That's who we're for. That's who we're going to serve. That is who we are going to come through for. But as Dolores told us, it is going to take all of us doing everything that we can with what we have, where we are right now, 50 days till the 8th of November to make sure that we can bring this through. But in addition to everything that we're fighting for, and all the great people who are fighting right alongside with us, we have another advantage in this election. And he goes by the name Greg Abbott. Let me give it to you. Let me give it to you by the numbers. It has been 24 days since the most extreme abortion bill in the country went into effect. Greg Abbott's total abortion ban, beginning at conception, is making worse a maternal mortality crisis that is 3 times as deadly for black women in the state of Texas as it is for white women, that is making us the leader in a category that we do not want to lead in, losing the women in our communities, in each and every single one of them. Those veterans that I talked about, those women who swore that oath to the Constitution, when they swore that oath, they understood that that Constitution protected their bodily autonomy, their ability to make their own decisions about their own future. Greg Abbott has brought not just women who were part of the Democratic Party or independents, but Republicans in numbers that we've never seen before. We're going to win this election because we are fighting for every single woman in Texas. Let me give you another number. It has been more than 16 weeks since 19 children and their 2 teachers were slaughtered in the classroom at the school that they attended. defenseless, against a guy who could legally purchase not one, but 2 AR-15s and hundreds of rounds of ammunition and bring that weapon that was originally designed, engineered, and sold to the United States military for the express purpose of killing people. Literally able to knock down an enemy soldier at 500 yards, penetrate that steel helmet. Those kids up against that weapon at 5 feet with nothing on their head but maybe a baseball cap, defenseless against that, but also defenseless against a governor who's beholden to the gun lobby, to the NRA, who will not lift a finger. He's called special sessions to go after CRT. He's called special sessions to go after trans kids. He's called special sessions one after another to weaken the right to vote in this state. Count it with me, 16 weeks, and he has failed to call a special session to do the obvious bipartisan things that would protect the lives of our kids. 16 weeks, and not a thing has changed for my kids or yours to make it any less likely that they will meet the same fate as those in Uvalde, those at Santa Fe High School, where he promised after that shooting in 18 that he would do something, after 23 killed in El Paso, 8 murdered in Midland, Odessa the next month, Sutherland Springs. This is on all of us until we do something about it. So when we win, we bring Republicans and Democrats to the table. We raise the age of purchase for an AR-15 to 21 at a minimum. We have a red flag law so we could intervene before it's too late, and a universal background check on every gun purchase in the state of Texas. That much we can do. Another number for you is 18. That's how many months it has been since, when the temperature dropped, we were unable to keep the power on. What I may not have told you before is that Greg Abbott's buddies, the energy traders, the pipeline CEOs, their companies, when you were freezing to death, made $11 billion in profit over the course of 5 days. Greg Abbott ordered the price of electricity pegged at its highest allowable limit. Gas soon started trading at 200 times what it had sold for the day before. Utilities went into bankruptcy. Some took on billions of dollars in debt. All of them passed the costs on to all of us. On average, our utility bills in Texas have gone up $45 a month per ratepayer. And the kicker, he still has not fixed the grid. For there to be 3 conservation notices this summer asking us to jack our thermostat to near 80 degrees, for Toyota right here in San Antonio to close the 3rd shift because it was drawing too much power from the grid. Folks, we've got a problem right here. We lost the lives of 700 of our friends and family members and neighbors, folks who froze to death in their own homes. Here's our answer to that. After we win this election, we're going to winterize and weatherize every part of the grid. We're going to connect ERCOT to the national grid so we can draw down power when we need it. And for those who stole $11 billion from us, Greg Abbott's largest campaign contributors, we're going to take those bastards to court and get every penny back for the ratepayers right here in the state of Texas. The last number that I want to give you is 8. 8 years that Greg Abbott has been in office. So whether it is the sky-high property taxes, they've gone up $20 billion on his watch. You are now, 99% of us in the state of Texas are effectively paying more in taxes than those in California today. We have one of the highest tax rates in the country. It's not just you, it is all of us. What you feel is true for this state, and it's because of Greg Abbott. The chaos that you see, the division that he is sowing, the open hatred that we find in our communities, that is Greg Abbott. There are 2 things that I'm warning you right now that he's going to try to scare you and all of us about. It may be his only strategy to try to hold on to power. If you have no accomplishments to run on, no vision to offer, no strategy for a path forward, then scare everybody else about the other guy or the other in our communities. So when you hear something about defund the police, he's already got ads up talking about this. Here are a couple of things that I want you to know. All of us here want to make sure that law enforcement, who have incredibly important jobs, are fully funded. We want to fund their training. We want to fund their pensions. We want to fund their salaries. But we also want to make sure that they are accountable to all of us for doing their job fairly and treating everyone equally under the law. When we fail to hold those in positions of trust accountable, we weaken trust in our community, and crime continues to go up because folks are less likely to call the police or testify in a trial or serve as a witness. So hear me loud and clear. I believe in funding the police. But under Greg Abbott's watch, these last 8 years, homicide is up 50% in the state of Texas. The governor, who when asked by a reporter why there was no exception for rape in his total abortion ban, said, I've got an answer for you. We're going to eliminate rape in the state of Texas. You all remember that one? More rapes have been committed in Texas than any other place in America. The ability to bring a rapist to justice has declined by half on this guy's watch. And right now, there are 3,000 untested rape kits at DPS headquarters in Austin, Texas. No, he did not eliminate rape. In fact, he favors rapists over women in the state right now, right? And on this funding question, think about this when you hear or see the ad where he tries to scare us about defunding the police. 7 years ago, when Greg Abbott was the governor of the state of Texas, the Uvalde Police Department asked for funding for their radios. They told the governor that our radios don't work sometimes when we're inside of buildings. We're unable to communicate with the folks who are outside of the buildings. Governor turned his back on them, would not fund the police in Uvalde, Texas. They repeated the request 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4, 3, 2, 1. May 24th, 2022. Those officers whose radios were never funded are inside Robb Elementary, unable to get the messages from 911 dispatch, the calls that had come in from those kids who were hoping that somebody was listening on the other side of the line to say, listen, we're still alive, but we are dying right now. Greg Abbott refused to fund those police in Uvalde. Greg Abbott has refused to lift a finger to save the lives of those kids there or anywhere else around the state. Greg Abbott, as our congressman said, is the greatest danger to the people of Texas right now, and we must replace him if we are going to save lives and improve safety across this state. Y por el último, last thing here. The other folks that he's going to try to scare us about are immigrants. Ask them a legitimate question about the grid or about the exodus of teachers from our school or about our high property taxes. And he's going to say, watch out, there's Mexicans right over there coming to get us. The invasion. I've been warning you all. You all understand the logical conclusion of this kind of rhetoric, this incredibly irresponsible behavior from the person in the highest position of power in the state. The day before the El Paso shooting, Greg Abbott says about this so-called invasion, Texans, you must defend yourselves. You must take matters into your own hands. Now, there's a guy in North Texas who's just bought an AK-47. In fact, his mom calls the cops there and says, holy shit, what does my son need with an AK-47? And she may have signaled other signs of distress in his life, but there's no red flag law under Greg Abbott. So the cops say, I'm sorry, ma'am, you're on your own. Good luck. He drives that AK-47 650 miles to El Paso, Texas, posts online before he walks into this Walmart on the Saturday before school starts that year that he has come to repel that invasion of Hispanics that he has been warned about. Walks into that Walmart and takes the lives of 23 people in our community. A community that is one of, if not the safest cities in America, not despite, but because of the fact that it is a city of immigrants. Lost 23 people that day. In a given year, we don't lose 20 over 365 days. Now, these stunts of sending migrants on buses to Chicago or to D.C. or to New York City, this building of literally 1.5 miles of a border wall, or involuntarily activating 10,000 members of the Guard, this isn't what they signed up for. They have no detention or arrest powers. There's nothing really functionally, effectively that they can do for us. And they know it, and their families know it. For 1 year, they had to say goodbye to their kids and to their careers. 4 of them have taken their lives so far during this deployment. 4 others have died under questionable circumstances. Not a single one was killed by a single migrant. The 53 human beings that we found dead in this community in the back of a trailer should force each of us to ask ourselves, and I do this and I want you to as well, what would it take for me to climb into the back of that trailer? It's not easy to get up there. I don't know if they have a step stool. I don't know if somebody is helping you up into the back of the trailer. But that is a very conscious decision that you are making. Now ask yourself this, especially if you have kids. Once you're in the back of that trailer, what would compel you to reach down and grab the hand of your 11-year-old daughter and bring her up into this trailer with you? I've got an 11-year-old at home. When I think about this, the only reason I would do that is if I had no other option to save his life. If this were my only choice. I wouldn't do it for kicks. I wouldn't do it to steal someone's job or take their place in society. I would do it to survive. I'd do it to save that kid's life. That's exactly what they were doing, what so many have done over the history of this country. And listen, as our former colleague John Lewis loved to say, we all came here in a different ship, but now we're in the same boat. Some of us came here from our family 15,000 years ago, indigenous to this land. Others brought here in bondage against their will, forced to build the wealth and the success of this country and the state of Texas, though they would never be able to enjoy any of it. Others, like the O'Rourkes, were fleeing famine in Ireland. To stay there with their kids meant the certain death of their family. And they came to the one place that would take them in, and it was this country. Those who are coming from Venezuela today, from Cuba, from Haiti, from places all over the planet, are part of this long tradition. We turn our backs on it at our peril. So let me tell you what I think we can do. These stunts, that is not us. We are a people of solutions, and we understand them. If you want to come here to work, you want to come here to join your family, you want to come here to seek asylum or refuge in a country that is comprised of asylum seekers and refugees, we want you to come here, but we want you to follow the law. And on our part, we're going to make sure that our laws follow our values, our needs, our reality here on the ground, what we need and what we know to be true in the state of Texas. What if, for those who want to come here and do better for themselves, and by extension, do better for all of us, there were a safe, legal, orderly path to come to Texas and to be here in the United States of America? What if, since Ronald Reagan was president, that we've rewritten the immigration laws of this country, that Texas, of all places, takes the lead to compel and force the country to do that? Solutions born of our experiences, listening to Republicans and independents and Democrats alike coming to the table with solutions. We do that, then all that is left at the border are those who might want to do us harm. Trafficking in illegal drugs or smuggling in human beings. Right now, they are needles in a haystack, given the tens of thousands who come here for legitimate purposes and reasons. We offer solutions for those who want to be here to do better. All that is left are those needles, and we become so much safer and secure as a result. So when you hear him demagogue and vilify and demonize immigrants for his own political benefit, just know this. We are going to beat him in November, and we're going to replace these stunts with solutions, and we're going to lead on the things that we know better than anyone else. You all with me? You ready to win? You ready to do the work? I'm ready to do this with you. And listen, 2 quick announcements. 1, everyone who's wearing a yellow reflective vest in this audience has a clipboard with open block walking shifts. And if you will sign up with them, I will put you on the doors of the very voters who are the targets of suppression and intimidation, and we will make them the margin of victory on election night, okay? So I want you to sign up. The next announcement I have, and I'm going to ask for your indulgence and your patience and your ears, is that one of the great friends of this campaign and of the people of Texas is Joe Hernandez and Little Joe y La Familia. They have taken the stage right now. They are going to play a song, and I want us to listen. Little Joe, are you ready? Los Nubes we're hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, Little Joe. Le agradezco, Joe. Good to see you.
Beto. Thank you, my little brother. The next governor of Texas, Beto. It may be funny to you, mother effer, O'Rourke. For years, I've been wanting to put a song together, write a song for my dear, dear sister, who we met back in 1970. Dolores Huerta. So happy to have you in Texas. And last week, somehow I woke up and the song that I've been wanting to write for Dolores all came together. Thursday morning, I got up, I half asleep, and I wrote the song. And today I had one of the guys, John Ontiveros, write the arrangement for it. We have not tried this song, but we're going to do it now because we have the guts to do it. Dolores, de parte de toda la familia, de toda la gente, de todos los campesinos, this song is yours. It's so new, I don't remember the lyrics, and I'm willing to try it now. It's called Si Se Puede, Dolores.